The crystalline corridors of the Valorian palace hummed with soft, bioluminescent energy as Guardian Zethkar made his nightly rounds. His 6 legs moved silently across the polished floors, compound eyes scanning for any disturbance in the royal household. As the appointed protector of House Veltaran, he had served faithfully for 3 decades, his chitinous exoskeleton bearing the scars of countless battles fought in defense of his charges. Tonight felt different. An unfamiliar warmth emanated from the servants' quarters, a section he rarely needed to patrol, given the docile nature of most domestic staff. But regulations demanded thoroughness, and Zethkar had never been one to shirk duty. The warmth grew stronger as he approached the end of the hallway, where a small storage alcove had been converted into makeshift living quarters. What he saw through the partially open door made his antennae twitch in confusion. A human maid, one of the newer additions to the household staff, lay curled on a thin mat on the cold stone floor. Her name was Sarah, he recalled, brought to Valoria as part of the recent cultural exchange program. But it wasn't her presence that gave him pause. Nestled against her chest, its tiny scales glowing faintly in the dim light, was a baby Valorian, Flame Drake. Zethkar's mandibles clicked in astonishment. Flame Drakes were sacred to his people, their eggs worth more than most beings would see in a lifetime. They bonded only with those of pure intent and fierce protective instincts. Yet, here was a human, a supposedly inferior species according to Valorian doctrine, cradling one of their most precious creatures as if it were her own child. The little drake stirred, mewing softly in its sleep. Sarah's arm instinctively tightened around it, and even in unconsciousness, she whispered soothing words in her native tongue. The sounds were foreign to Zethkar, but the emotion behind them was universal. Love, protection, comfort. He should report this immediately. Theft of a flame drake egg was punishable by exile, possibly death. The royal family would demand swift justice, and as guardian, it was his duty to ensure their will was carried out. But something held him back. Earlier that week, he had witnessed Sarah working 18-hour shifts without complaint, tending to the needs of nobles who barely acknowledged her existence. He had seen her give her own food rations to other servants who looked more tired than she did. Most remarkably, he had observed her speaking gently to the younger staff members who were homesick, offering comfort in broken Valorian that made even the kitchen supervisor's eyes soften. Now, watching her sleep on the hard floor while ensuring the baby drake remained warm against her body, Zethkar began to understand something his superiors had never taught him. True nobility had nothing to do with birth or species. The flame drake opened one tiny eye, regarding Zethkar with surprising intelligence. Instead of fear or aggression, the creature seemed curious. It studied the Guardian with the same intensity that Zethkar studied it, as if recognizing a kindred spirit. "You chose her, didn't you?" Zethkar whispered, his voice barely audible. "Somehow you knew." The implications were staggering. If the drake had chosen Sarah, truly chosen her, then everything the Valorian nobility believed about human inferiority was wrong. The flame drakes were incapable of deception. They responded only to the deepest character of a being's soul. Zethkar made his decision. Moving with practiced stealth, he retrieved a thermal blanket from a nearby storage unit and carefully placed it over both Sarah and the sleeping drake. Then he activated his personal shield generator, creating a warming field around the small alcove, but he wasn't finished. Using his security clearance, Zethkar accessed the household management system and quietly reassigned Sarah to the nursery wing, a position that came with proper quarters and a salary increase. The baby drake would be safe there, and Sarah's natural protective instincts would be properly valued rather than taken for granted. As dawn approached, Zethkar composed his report. Instead of documenting a theft, he wrote about discovering a remarkable example of interspecies bonding, a flame drake that had chosen its guardian. He recommended immediate study of this unprecedented development and suggested that the human staff member be given appropriate accommodations to facilitate research. When Sarah woke hours later, she found herself wrapped in warmth, with official quarters assignment papers beside her and a small note written in careful Valorian script. True guardianship recognizes no species boundaries. Protect what you love, as love protects what matters most. She never learned the identity of her benefactor, but sometimes in the corridors of the palace, she would catch glimpses of a six-legged shadow watching over her and the growing flame drake with what could only be described as pride. Zethkar had served House Velteran faithfully for 3 decades, but that night he learned that sometimes the greatest act of service is recognizing when the rules must change. The humans, he realized, might just teach the galaxy something about what it truly meant to be noble. And in the nursery wing, as Sarah sang lullabies to a baby dragon that purred like a contented cat, the future of interspecies understanding took its first precious breath.